Hey there! Welcome back to Cathedral Ward. We have finally rescued most of the friends that we are going to see, and they have some very kind and insightful things to say. So, we're going to spend a few minutes talking to them, starting with our dear friend.
Ah, you, the swindling offcomer. Did you really think that'd work? There's no fooling me. Now, off with you. You heard me. Go away. I can't stand the stench of your lying breath.
What a dick. Okay, I regret talking to you immediately. I see you made it back okay?
Oh, brave hunter. You're alive. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The town is in disarray, but there are still people here. Together we await the help of the healing church. I cannot begin to express my gratitude to you. The only thing that I can offer is my own lowly blood.
Sorry?
It would suffice. Yes,
okay.
Of course. Come in close. Now. Take my blood.
Take my blood. Please. Thanks, I guess. So, some of the characters in this game will give you their blood, and it has special properties, because why not?
Brave hunter. Please, give me a little more time. There are others in need of my blood.
Well, Adela's blood, and our new prostitute friend over here, they are very special for reasons we'll discuss later.
Oh dear. You weren't lying. This is a safe place. Thank you. I am in your debt.
Yeah, no problem. I'm getting a lot today.
I'd like to tender my thanks, but I can't imagine what to offer. All I can give is my blood. But would you even take a whore's blood?
Listen, I'm becoming very experienced in the way of extracting blood from people. Unfortunately, I'm full for the time being. Maybe later.
You! Stay away from me!
Still nothing to say from the old woman. I am thoroughly regretting bringing her back here. More and more every episode. I've been busy.
Oh, the hunter. Alive and well at that. Another one you sent made it here safe and sound. This place is a haven now for so many. Thanks to you. I'm overjoyed, really, that you'd even give me the time of day. I don't suppose there's anybody out there worth saving anymore.
Wait, really?
You did all you could. And so many owe you so much. Amazing, really. Not because you're a hunter, but because you're you. Makes me think. Once dawn breaks, maybe I can just, start over. Makes it easier to bear all of this, you see. You've made life easier. Thank you.
Well, no problem, man. I did the best I could.
Please, kind hunter, when the night of the hunt passes, suppose we could be friends? Maybe? Now, I know I hardly deserve it, but, well, I had to just ask, you know. Out of line. Yes, perhaps so. But, well, give it a thought. If you wouldn't mind, of course.
Well, I'd be happy to make new friends, especially because after this I'm probably not going to have many friends left in Yharnam. You gotta take who you can, you know. So, Adela spoke of the Healing Church, and we're going to be making our way there in this episode. But first... Hello, Eileen.
Oh, hello there. perfect timing. I must warn you not to go near the tomb below Erden Chapel in the Cathedral Ward. Henrik, an old hunter, has gone mad. And he's my mark.
Eileen, you gotta stop mumbling. That shush gesture. It's important.
Don't go near the tomb below Erden Chapel in the Cathedral Ward. I have business there first.
What's that you said? Go near the chapel? Something about a tomb? Something about Cathedral War? I don't know. I wasn't really listening. Anyway, let's go explore for a little while. Maybe the arena where we fought Gascoigne will have something new for us. Something interesting to look at. So, getting Eileen to spawn there is kind of a pain in the ass. Eileen doesn't spawn standing there unless you open up all 3 of the shortcut gates, and if you do that, you probably will go beat Vicar Amelia and then interact with that skull that's up on the altar in the Grand Cathedral. And if you do that, Eileen will disappear. Her questline will continue. There are 2 endings to her questline. But it's pretty specific how to continue it by talking to Eileen there. I suppose this is the mark she was talking about. I'm sure she won't mind if we get a little head start. Giving our new saw cleaver a test run, you know? We gotta set this man on fire. Henrik is a pain in the ass. He is quite deadly. Thankfully, we have company. Fighting Henrik on your own is very, very hard. Like, his gun is kind of like a portable howitzer. Like, it will fuck you up. Like, look at that. It did like a quarter of my health in one shot, and he has infinite bullets, too. It's crazy. But thankfully, we have Eileen to help out. Eileen has the Blades of Mercy and Poison Knives, so she does a pretty good job against Henrik, even on her own. But together, we are a force to be reckoned with. And for our trouble, we get a new rune. Hooray!
That wasn't necessary of you, but you have my thanks. We made it with our lives. You're not bad at all. You must have killed Gascoigne as well, then. He was falling apart, I'm sure it had to be done. But try to keep your hands clean. A hunter should hunt beasts. Leave the hunting of hunters to me.
Hunter of Hunters, huh? That is a job title I am not interested in, Eileen. I suppose for now we'll leave that business to you. Fighting hunters is kind of annoying. So let's head to the Grand Cathedral and finally get this damn show on the road. Been too long. Let me ask you a question, humble viewer. How big a fan are you of interacting with arcane skulls that you find in the middle of an altar? Me? I'm a big fan of it. So let's inspect.
Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Oh, I know. You think now to betray me.
No, but you will never listen. I tell you, I will not forget our adage.
We are born of the blood, made men by the blood, undone by the blood. Our eyes are yet to open.
Fear the old blood. I must take my leave.
Lawrence.
Ugh, my head. It feels like I've had a revelation of some kind. Wait, what the hell? Is it nighttime? Jesus, how long was I out? Man. Well, you know what they say, you know. Time in a dream passes very slowly, and in reality, and, you know, all that stuff about time being stretched. You know, we've all watched Inception, I'm sure. The real question is the top in Yharnam still spinning as we exit out into Cathedral Ward and find that things are a little bit different now. Specifically, the sun has run away from the sky, and we have now entered the night phase, where things are a little bit more hairy in Yharnam. Thankfully, no matter how much things change, some things always stay the same. I am a big fan of shoving my fist into people's butts. Uh-oh. Oh no, that meter. Oh no! Oh! So, some attacks will hit you so hard that you go insane and start filling up a special bar. And when it fills, you will just take like a solid 30%, I think, of your health in one hit. It's actually I think it's more like 70%, but it is a very high static amount. And that will kill the ever-loving crap out of you if you're not careful. It's called Frenzy. And does that guy have eyeballs on his lantern? Oh no. That was not normal. Oh, none of this is normal. Oh my. That guy's got a glowing scythe now. And I just swung directly through his body, and he did a lot of damage, and now I'm fucked. I think the game might have got harder. So yeah, the night phase is where Bloodborne starts to get real. The difficulty of this game jumps up pretty damn high at certain intervals, and the third phase of Bloodborne's game world is where that starts to get a little bit more noticeable. Enemies do a little bit more damage, some of them have new attacks, and we're going to start gaining insight a lot faster with some of these bosses and new areas we're about to come across. So, dawn is not going to break for quite some time in Yharnam, so get used to the difficulty hike, because we're about to get knee fucking deep in it. On the bright side, we are about to temporarily leave Yharnam to go to places unknown, where we will start a wrestling federation, I guess. You know what they say about places unknown. Perhaps our friend Alfred will have some things to say.
Oh, good to see you safe. Now, let's think up something to discuss. Just tell me what piques your interest.
Well, in that horrible hallucination I just had, I learned a little bit about Bergenworth. Maybe...
Ah, there's something I want to tell you.
Okay, you go first then.
Wisdom from the eminent master Logarius. Once, a scholar betrayed his fellows at Bergenworth and brought forbidden blood back with him to Canehurst Castle. It was there that the first of the inhuman Vile Bloods was born. The Vile Bloods are fiendish creatures who threaten the purity of the Church's blood healing. The ruler of the Vile Bloods is still alive today. And so, to honor my master's wishes, I search for the path to Canehurst Castle.
Fascinating. Alfred, my man, I think you might have drank the Kool-Aid a little bit.
It has been a pleasure. May the good blood guide your way.
See, I don't know if I like that phrase anymore. At first it seemed pretty harmless, but... Okay. Well, if I come across a path to Canehurst Castle, I guess I'll let you know. I don't know if I like the phrase Vile Bloods, especially given the connotations of blood in the world of Bloodborne. But I suppose I will be on the lookout. Now, we could have come down here to this door earlier, but there's no real reason to, because I didn't have enough insight to get the special interaction with this door. And we didn't have a way through anyway. But now we do.
The password.
Fear that old blood, man. Fear it. Spooky! I mean, that's a pretty spooky skeleton. He's got a nice hat, though. I like his clothes. I do like that they let you talk to the skeleton. So, we are about to enter what I believe to be one of the weaker areas of Bloodborne. I don't think Bloodborne has any necessarily bad areas. They get pretty good mileage out of everywhere in the game. However, what you probably are noticing already, just for me going down this staircase, is that things are getting pretty gray in Bloodborne. So, welcome to the Forbidden Woods, the grayest area. Not that there's anything wrong with that, really. I mean, Hemwick was pretty gray, too, so... You know, Hemwick had splashes of color. You know, the sky was a pretty red and purple and yellow and all that stuff. But, yeah, the Forbidden Woods is not quite so. See, it's nighttime now in Yharnam. Which means, of course, that there's no bright purple sky anymore. So, this area is very gray and like dull greens, and it's not very visually interesting to look at. There's a lot of cool stuff to see off in the distance, though, through the fog, which we will definitely be taking a look at with the monocular. So, every Souls game, people have generally noticed, has two things in common. First off, a poison swamp. They all have that, including Bloodborne. Second, an unnecessary forest. Or, you know, I mean, in some cases it's a necessary forest, but not here. I feel like this area goes on for a little bit too long. Like, this area is quite large. So, for the duration of the Forbidden Woods, I am going to be abandoning the gimmick of just walking around places. Because once you've seen a little bit of the Forbidden Woods, you've seen pretty much all of it. So, you'll have to forgive me, but for the next episode or so, we're going to be picking up the pace. Otherwise, I swear to God, otherwise the Forbidden Woods would go on for 3 episodes, and I don't want that. So, we're going to be speeding up just a bit for now. Because like I said, there's not that much to look at here anyway. It's all foggy and gray, and the background's way off in the distance, so, you know, I'm sure you won't blame me for that. And if you do blame me for that, eat a dick. It's my Let's Play. I'll Let's Play it how I want. On the bright side, the Forbidden Woods being a kind of long area gives me the ability to talk a little bit more at length about what I like about Bloodborne's game design, specifically in regards to how the story and the game are paced. Because what you may have noticed so far, and there's a bonus feature at the end of this episode about it, what you may have noticed so far is that Bloodborne's story is kind of spread thin. So far it's been very spread thin. Like that little cutscene there we got about Byrgenwerth was pretty much like the only real substantial story we've gotten so far. And in the bonus features in previous episodes, I have explained like stuff that's under the surface, but overall, Bloodborne's story comes in little chunks throughout the game, to the point where it's almost completely ignorable. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that if you don't talk to the NPCs, if you don't pay close attention, If you don't pay close attention to the cutscenes, it's pretty easy to let the story of Bloodborne sail right over your head. And it's not necessarily your fault either, because, like I said, it's spread very thin. But it is definitely there if you pay attention to it. What is going on with these viscerals today? I went right through that dude. So strange. Hi-ya! It's the scourge of ambushing. Doing my best to emulate the messengers there. But yeah, I feel like Bloodborne's story is paced pretty well. The story of Bloodborne has pretty much 3 distinct phases. The first phase, where you are just fighting beasts in like Gothic medieval Europe. And we are now past that phase. We are getting into the phase of the story. I guess it would be like a second act kind of thing. Oh, that guy's head. It's kind of like a second act sort of thing, where the story is starting to unravel a little bit and reveal that it is perhaps a little bit deeper than just tainted blood turning people into werewolves. Certainly, that is an aspect of it, and one of the framing devices of the story, but I think Bloodborne goes a little bit deeper than that. And then the third phase is just, you can't, like, if you don't know anything about Bloodborne, I don't know if you would be able to predict what the third act of the story is like, because this game changes so much once you reach a certain pretty pivotal point in the story. So, you know. We'll get there when we get there, though. For now, enjoy this yellow field of flowers. How pretty. Even the forest, which is pretty damn gray, has splashes of color here and there, and I appreciate that. The art book, maybe I'll put up some images of it during the bonus feature about the Forbidden Woods, but the art book has some pretty good concept art of the Forbidden Woods that shows that it hasn't really changed since the concept design phase. Like it really hasn't changed at all. I see that trap. You can't fool me. Look at that trap. It also kind of serves as a return to normalcy a little bit. Like, we are, technically speaking, fighting Yharnam Townies again. That's going to change in a little bit, but for now, the Yharnam Townies have returned, and they're wearing spiffy new clothes. But other than that, we are gone from fighting Cthulhus that want to grab and suck out your brains, dogs with metal sticking out of their face, witches that can turn invisible and summon AoE spells, giants that are like 5 times the size of a human for no real discernible reason. We're done with all that. It's back to what we know and love. Traps that fuck you over, werewolves, and people that say, "Away! Away!" in very distressed voices and funny accents. You know what also returns? The Souls game staple of dying horribly. Did you think I was going to say something else there? No. We're back in the Hunter's Dream, because changing the game over to night has changed a couple of things. First of all, we got a DLC item. The Eye of a Blood-Drunk Hunter will bring the player to the DLC area, and we are not going to be seeing that for like literally 24 or 5 episodes, so you can just forget I even picked that up for now. It's gonna be a very long time before we get there. We got a lot of game to cover. For taking out Henrik, or helping Eileen take out Henrik, we can now buy his clothes, which they're not super useful right now because they improve your defense against electricity, and I got killed by fire, but they look cool, so we're going to be wearing them for now. And actually, I will be putting them back on later on in the game when bolt defense becomes very helpful. That's all we came back here for now, though. So let's jump right back into it and not get murdered. Big fan of not getting murdered around here. So what happened there was, this water that I walked through, this sludge is oil. So, you know how you can throw oil urns at enemies to make them take more damage from fire? That applies to you too. That little triangle when I was walking through the sludge on my HUD, that was an icon denoting that I was covered in oil, which means you take extra damage from fire. Also, that man just disappeared into the ground immediately. Like it just swallowed him up. It didn't even wait. In addition to things changing story-wise and world-wise, we have entered the part of the game where they start expecting you to have like a +6-ish weapon. So the game is going to start dumping twin bloodstone shards on us in pretty high amounts. Like, there are a couple of distinct gates. Like, they gate the upgrade materials in this game in a way that I actually don't like. I feel like the way they gate the upgrade materials kind of sucks. But basically, there is a stage of the game where all you get is normal shards, a stage of the game where all you get is twin shards and a couple of chunks, and then a stage of the game where they just give you chunks and say, that's fucking it, good luck from here, pal. The problem is that they only really give you enough chunks to upgrade like 1 or 2 weapons, and then you have to grind for them, and that is really obnoxious, and I cannot stand that. Which annoys me even further, because they brought it back in Dark Souls 3, and it's equally as annoying there. Thankfully, it's going to be a while till we get there, so we have quite a bit more room to experiment with weapons before I have to finally settle down and pick something. I like this little encounter here. This guy with the cannonballs, obviously those cannonballs will murder the crap out of you. So you can hide in the houses to distract him. He's just gonna defy gravity there, or maybe he has expert balancing skills, I don't know. But here's a fun way to take out enemies, or invaders perhaps. After you kill him, you can fire the cannon yourself. So if like an invader or an enemy is chasing you, you can bring them over to the cannon and then just kind of fuck them up. As a matter of fact, let's try it and see how well it works. It's actually kind of hard to get the timing down on it. Hello? Hey! I'm talking to you. Come here. Shit! Well, that didn't work at all. Maybe I should have parried him first. Like the good old sewer fight in Dark Souls 2. Well, fine. They don't want to play along, then nuts to them, I say. I've got a question for you. Are you afraid of snakes? Because if you're afraid of snakes like I'm afraid of spiders, you may want to not watch this. Because we're going to meet some new enemy types in the second part of the forest. Or rather, right now. I think that exploding head syndrome has a different definition than your head literally explodes into snakes. But oh well. Oh my god! The snakes are quite powerful, by the way. And they can poison you. However, the snakes are weak to fire. And visceral attacks, but today apparently is not a good day for viscerals. Just overall. I actually cannot believe I survived that. That is just nuts. Like, if I had waited a second longer to heal there, I would have died to absolute shit. I like this little vantage point here, because if you look, way off in the distance over there, after we take care of this beast man, ow, after the beast man knocks me on my fucking face, we'll get a good look at this Bergenworth we've heard so much about. But yeah, there it is. A little plateau facing the lake. Looks like a quaint little place. Can't wait to get there. And if you look real close down there, you can actually see the path that we're going to take to get there. It's interesting. You see that little, like, you might not be able to see this unless you're watching in 1080p. You see that little glowing thing, that little glowing light right there next to the monocle? That's actually a lamp that we're gonna find down there that's outside the boss arena. Like, it's actually pretty crazy that they modeled that, because this is, as far as I can tell, the only vantage point where you can even see that. So, like, it's very impressive that they stuck to the off in the distance kind of thing, even now. And once we eventually get to Bergenworth, I will look back up and you can see the windmill we're standing at right now. It's very, very impressive. Because it's a vantage point you wouldn't even think to look up at from down there, and they've modeled it 100%. Oh my god. Hello. What you doing?
Whoa. Blimey, don't scare me like that. On a night like this, I took you for a monster. Oh, thank the stars, you're fairly normal. Was it you who put down that awful beast? Ooh, that thing had me trembling, frozen in my boots. And then you came along. Well, if you're a hunter, then would you know of any safe havens?
You look a bit sick. Maybe you should make a pit stop at Yosefka's clinic before I send you to the chapel.
I'll be. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's about time I made a move. I can't very well stay out on my own. Oh, you're giving me hope. Terribly kind of you. Take this. It's all I can offer as thanks.
Hey, thanks, pal. I'll chug those right away. Hope you enjoy getting doctored up at the clinic. Maybe Yosefka will be able to cure you of all of that blood that's spilling out of your innards. Assuming that is yours. Let's forget that horrible man, and instead, pick up my favorite gun. The cannon. Unfortunately, I don't have enough strength to use it. I think it requires like 30 strength. It's pretty crazy. But the cannon fires giant exploding cannonballs instead of bullets. As you may be able to guess, it's not very good at parrying enemies, but it is good at blowing them up for 1,000 billion damage. I will absolutely have to include some footage of me using the cannon at some point because it's very, very good. It's satisfying too. The cannon is so satisfying. In fact, it's so satisfying that they brought it back in the DLC in another form. Also, God, I'm so bad at parrying these snake men. Like, I can't believe how bad I am at it. Like, they're kicking my ass. Like, such an embarrassing show. We're just gonna let that guy live. He's earned the right to live. And thankfully, we can refresh our supplies and get rid of these 500 billion echoes I'm carrying around, because we have reached the first shortcut of like 5 in this giant fucking forest. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you all next time, when we fight more snakes until the end of time. See you later. I think you've probably guessed why the church decided to take up residence in Yharnam by now. Before the game's events, before Cathedral Ward was even around, there was Bergenworth. The church's original home sat at the edge of a lake far from Yharnam, at the other end of a dense forest. Bergenworth is a college for scholars of the arcane, and they were the ones that discovered the Thumerian labyrinths that run beneath the city. Or rather, run beneath everything. I mentioned in the relevant video that the labyrinths are seemingly endless and ever-expanding. but the only entrance we currently know of sits in Old Yarnum, so of course they immediately set up shop there. The cutscene where we learned of Byrgenwerth's adage is our introduction to the schism that led to Cathedral Ward's foundation. We'll learn a whole lot about this schism as the game goes on, because it's one of the central events that caused this whole nightmare in the first place. But for now, here's what's relevant. Master Willem is the head of the Byrgenwerth Collegiate. At some point far back in Yarnum's history, a scholar named Lawrence researched the healing blood and found it to be more fascinating than studying the arcane. The two must have butted heads about it at some point, and it resulted in Lawrence taking the healing blood and his research and leaving Byrgenwerth behind. What resulted was Lawrence moving into Old Yarnum with the blood in tow, and Cathedral Ward was created to house however many scholars decided to go with him. Eventually Old Yarnum fell to the plague, and Central Yarnum was erected on the other side of the gorge, with normal citizens taking up residence in Cathedral Ward since they now had nowhere to live. This went on just fine, with some very important exceptions we'll touch on when they're relevant, until the Scourge began to pop up again. At that point, a young buck named Ludwig took up arms against the beasts. The hunters that already existed were purged, for lack of a better word, and the Healing Church workshop was founded literally right on top of what was already there. There was now an official army of hunters and no time to horse around as the plague was getting worse. These new church hunters were much more open and adamant about the slaying of beasts, and the Scourge became common knowledge among the citizens. By then, it was too late to do anything about it spreading, so the church hid their part in it. And that's where we sit now. The church's hunters obviously abandoned their duty at some point, and whatever remained of the church itself left Yarnum long ago, or turned into beasts themselves. We didn't find the healing blood we sought from the church, because it's already in our veins. Jill's induction into the hunters infused her with the healing blood that allows us to use blood vials to restore our health. In the Grand Cathedral, we solved the mystery of the healing blood, and now we have our next destination and quest, Byrgenwerth and answers. Every video game has that area. You know what I'm talking about. Say you want to replay a game that you really, really like. You're willing to devote all the time it'd take to experience it again. Maybe it's been a while since the last playthrough, and you want to relive the good times you had with it. But then you think of that area. The one that's just a blemish on the whole thing. The one that brings the fun to a halt for a while once you get there. The area that serves little purpose for the story or maybe the gameplay, and just feels like filler. To a lot of people, the Forbidden Woods is that area. It's a large, sprawling place that's easy to get lost in, and has enemies that range from being incredibly basic fodder to annoyingly tough to defeat. There's no lore to be found here. It's virtually disconnected from the rest of the game, and it's gray. Jesus Christ, it's so gray. This area is the grayest area in a video game series full of incredibly gray areas. But it is important for a couple of reasons. Once you interact with the skull in Cathedral Ward, the game changes over to the night phase and allows access to the forest. At this point, there are a whopping 6 different areas we can visit, and they're all optional. Old Yarnum, Yahar'gul, Hemwick, and 3 others we haven't even seen yet. Bloodborne is now as open to us as it's gonna get, and that means the pace of the story progression is going to slow way down. The Forbidden Woods is our next plot destination, and because it's so large, it serves as the perfect transition. It's tempting to call it filler because of that, but I feel that it serves a purpose in separating the two halves of the game. Once we're finished with the Forbidden Woods, Bloodborne will officially be about halfway over. We're not going to do so until we're totally ready, to prevent the LP from being kinda backloaded, but the intent is clear. The Forbidden Woods breaks Bloodborne up into two chunks, pre-Byrgenwerth and post-Byrgenwerth. Again, it's a transition that smooths out a massive shift in the game world. When we finish up in the forest, everything we know about Bloodborne so far is going to change. So I don't really think the Forbidden Woods is that bad. It's definitely that area for many, with good reason, but in my opinion it justifies its existence pretty well. The church used the forest to physically separate its knowledge from the common folk. But we aren't common folk anymore.